Hey everyone, it's Ann, your nurse and your transformational coach. Welcome back to Strategy Saturday. So today we're going to talk about 1% progression. And that progress. So that concept of progress over perfection. Remember, I am a recovering perfectionist. I need to have perfection in my life. I like everything in its place and things going the way I want them to. I would not be okay with just the progress in the past. Or take the time to actually enjoy the journey. What's that? It's got to keep moving. Get to the end game. So sometimes if you can't get perfection, you procrastinate too. So if I can't get to that point, well, what's the point? Why am I doing this? I'm just not going to do it at all. So why try, right? If you can't get to those points, it's easier to just do nothing than to actually fail. Yeah. So we're going to change that mindset. Any progress is progress, even if it's just 1%, that moving that needle toward where we want to get to in the end. So that is where I'm at. I'm striving for 1% progress. I'm okay with being the B student. That's a hard one for me to say. I was that straight A student, work, grind, get those good grades, all self-inflicted pressure, not really getting tons of pressure. Obviously, my parents wanted me to succeed and do well, but it was me pushing myself. Taking my own year of coaching to kind of get me through that, where it's okay. Things don't have to be perfect. It's a mindset change for me at this point. I don't always have that thoughts, but I'm learning to kind of reframe it in the moment. Everything's a work in progress, right? My house remodel, for example, still working on the bathroom. Um, Hopefully, gonna get the toilet where it's supposed to be pretty soon. Set it on the porch. But I would love to be done with it, just be over it, have everything in its place, and be back to quote unquote a normal household here. But I want it done right. I want to make sure that the mold's not going to come back and that I'm not going to have any health issues. So going to keep moving forward with it. And as Dory says, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And that starts with consistency, right? Just keep doing what you're doing and you'll get to the end game. Some of the information I'm talking about today comes from an article by Cassidy Horton. We see consistency in the Hollywood movies, right? Do you remember Karate Kid? You gotta wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. Like he did that for how many scenes in the movie? He did it for quite a while, right? But in the end, he annihilated all those bullies. And then one of my favorite movies too, Disney movie. I like cartoons. I'll admit it. Mulan, climbing that mountain with the buckets, right? Climbing the mountain, trying to get up the mountain, persisted with that, and she became one of the best soldiers in the army. It takes time, but what did they do? They kept moving forward. They kept progressing, even if it was 1%. They kept getting 1% better. So what does that mean, right? We have to focus on one tiny action, take it today, get us closer to where you want to be for tomorrow. I mean, sticking with those tiny actions too, right? We have to be consistent day in and day out. When we don't feel like doing it, even when it's like, well, that didn't quite work, we adapt and move on, right? It will turn into something significant in the end. So instead of focusing on those huge goals, that overreaching, maybe sometimes impossible feeling goals, we have to focus on these everyday little habits to get us to where we want. Put a little, as they say, a few bucks towards your rainy day fund. So put a little in there and it will eventually add up for you. Some of this takes some self-discipline, and that just is going to be part of our routine. So getting that 1%, it's kind of hard to quantify it in the beginning, right? Like 1%, that's like, waiting for something to download and they're at 1%. It can take forever to get to 100%. But when you think about it, tomorrow you add another 1% to that, you're at 2%, and then you're up to 3, and then you're 7, and then it just starts adding up. Sometimes quicker than we think sometimes, but if you think about it, by the end of 1 year, you'd be about 40% better than you were before. So better at managing your finances, better in your career, better in your health, better in your relationships, better in your stress, and better in your life. I think 40%, that's pretty good improvement, right? We want to get to there. So what does that look like? So maybe in your finances, you take a few dollars out of every paycheck and put it into your savings. So that extra 20 towards some debt you may have. Reading 10 pages of a finance book so you can learn some stuff. Setting up some kind of educational course for you. I know I've read in the past where whatever you save on your receipt, if it's $1 or $2, those savings you put right into your savings. So think of it that way. It will add up for your health. Maybe going out to eat one less time than you did last week, exercising for 30 minutes a day. Or if you start at 10, add a couple minutes, go up to 15 minutes, and then eventually get to the goal you want. Eating a little less processed sugar than you did last week, just cutting one thing out. Drinking a little bit more water. We know we don't get our hydration at work, especially as crazy as it's been lately. Just keep adding a little bit to that, and then getting a good night's sleep. Slowly moving your bedtime so you get to that point where you're able to get the 8 hours that you need. And maybe in your overall life and productivity, writing down what you're grateful for, right? We talked about that. Start with one thing, add two, add three. Eventually we'll get a nice list of maybe 10. Create that morning routine for yourself so things are a little easier when you first get up. Declutter your life. Pick a corner of a room and just declutter that and then move on to the next one. This one's big too. Maybe turning off your notifications for your email, your social media, and your text messages, especially during hours when you're trying to sleep, right? And then setting aside 5 minutes a day just to connect with someone, right? So how to become 1% better every day. So we've looked at some of these examples. So how do you implement that? First, we got to figure out what's better. What does better look like for you? What do you want? Do you want financial freedom with things? You want to do more, be more active. So you want to eventually get to hiking 50 miles in a single day. Whatever that goal is, we want it to be better for yourself. More free time, how do you want to feel? Then you need to examine your old habits. Once you kind of figure out what you're doing, what do I not want to do maybe? What part of that do I want to fix and change and to transform, right? Setting aside 5 minutes to journal what you're grateful for. And then maybe when you do that, you cut out maybe something you don't want, like spending that extra time on social media. You're just slowly moving toward what you do want, and the things that you don't will just kind of fade away. You won't even notice. But you need to be patient and to actually trust the process with this. So it's exciting when you get moving toward your goal. But as I said, 1% does sometimes take a little bit of time. No matter what it is you're trying to do, give yourself the grace if things don't work out exactly the way you had planned. Stick to those tiny actions. We'll kind of get through it. Sometimes it will feel like it's mundane, maybe a little Groundhog Day, doing the same thing over and over again. But focus on getting better and better and taking those steps toward your well-being that you want, moving toward that work-life balance, keeping up that resilience to the challenges, especially of healthcare and nursing. You just want to keep, as I said, moving that needle a little closer to that goal that you want to get to, those SMART goals that we've set in the past. Remember that I'm here, I'm helping professionals with those overwhelming challenges and burnout to build your resilience and take ownership of your well-being. So thanks for joining me this week for Strategy Saturday, where we explore how to navigate the challenges of nursing. So make sure you post below where you're going to make that 1% progress in your week. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.